Hi everyone, this is the Hub Podcast, episode 32. And for the month of February in the Hub, we are talking about websites and lead generation. Websites are, for me, one of your biggest assets on a digital level. They should definitely be working for you rather than against you. And that is very much the topic of today with our expert. Looking at how you can get your website working for you on a lead generative point of view, but also through the basics and by keeping things simple. So, without further ado, we have our expert for the month of February, and that is Lucy from Websites by Lucy. So, I'm just going to hand over to the expert to introduce herself in a little bit more detail. Take it away.
Thank you, Zoe, and thank you very much for inviting me to be here. As Zoe said, my name's Lucy Davies, and my business is called Websites by Lucy. Um, I work with WordPress primarily, and I offer a whole range of website services. I've been doing this for 9 years now, and I do everything from I can spend an hour with people helping them DIY their website, or you can hand everything over to me. I can build you a brand new website and then look after it for you going forwards.
And she can definitely do that. You may resonate that we've both been in, if you've been following on my socials, we've both been in business 9 years this year. And very much Lucy has looked after our website in the beginning. We definitely got led down the garden path in 2016, as Lucy knows, with the events business. And Lucy helped us navigate that because the website currently at that time, 8 years ago, wasn't working for us, was very much working against us. And she very much delivers what she says on the tin in terms of, offering that, ad hoc support or that full service support, which I don't think a lot of experts do within the web site industry. It seems to be one or the other, and I think it's quite nice and refreshing that you do have that hybrid approach, Lucy. So yeah, just wanted to give you a little bit of a testimony there for our listeners and just explain about how myself and Lucy have worked together in the past and how I can sit here and say she is an expert when it comes to WordPress and getting the website working for you. Now, in the hub and in the community, we're talking about this a lot, but mindful our listeners may not be aware of the hub. So if you do want to learn more about that, do head over to the website under our services and you will see everything you need to know about the hub and what we have to offer and how we very much champion our members and also our experts. But let's get to it. Let's get to the nitty gritty, Lucy. What does that mean to you as an expert? I know what it means to a business owner having the website work for you, but what does that mean to the expert, getting things really simple and making sure the website does what it says on the tin?
So I think there's a couple of layers to this. There's the very basic layer that one would say, is your website working? How many times have you gone to a website and it's either out of date, something's broken, you pop into that restaurant tonight, you're like, oh, I wonder, is it going to have quite the right things?
Mm-hmm.
Oh, look, it's November and there's the spring menu on it. Is it up to date? It's all those very basic things, but if you're going to have a website, when people get to it, it needs to be up to date and it needs to be working.
Mm-hmm.
That's, if you haven't got those things in place, nothing else matters. Once
Yeah.
you've got it basically working, I think there's that next level is it working for you as a business?
Yeah.
So that depends on the kind of business you have, but you might want your website to be something that reassures people. So they've asked for an electrician on social media, somebody recommended you. They're just going to check that you are who you say they are, that you've got a website, they can find out where you're based, they can see some testimonials. So it might be that your website working is it's there sort of to build trust in your business and to add that next level of security for people looking at you.
Yeah.
It maybe you want your website to actively generate leads. So when somebody goes to Google and types in electrician in Barnsley, you want your website to come up top of that list. They
Mhm.
click through, they can see what you do. Do you do homes as well as commercial work? You know,
Yeah.
people arriving should know, am I in the right place for what I want?
Yeah.
And they can find out what services do you have, and then they can find out how do I actually get in touch and start this process rolling.
Yeah. I agree, and I think it is about keeping it simple, isn't it? Because we've had this quite recently with an inquiry that gave us a call, and the feedback very much was it's so nice to speak to someone who says they do as they do on the tin. And when we asked how she, found our information, it was very much through Google and general search and through my
Yeah,
website. And what has happened prior to her having the conversation with me was she was looking for advice. She has an existing business plan, she has an existing model. She needed support and advice on that to make sure she was on the right path and what the next stages were. And she was typing in like advice, business advice, and she was faced with a barrage of financial advisors, retirement specialists, financial directors, and it all turns out that they'd listed their website, their Google My Business profile incorrectly. So
right.
she spent a
Yeah,
lot of time, searching, what she thought she needed to be searching for in terms of keyword searches, and was given a lot of information, incorrectly. And I believe that's because they hadn't probably followed the basics and kept things simple and made
yeah.
sure, you know, it it did what it said on the tin. Do you come across that a lot, that sometimes the basics are missed because maybe they're looking at it too complicated and they're not keeping things simple and just saying the basics of who they are and what they do?
Yes, definitely. And I think it can be hard because we're very close to our businesses. We know exactly what we do and who we want to work with. So when we look at our website, that's already all in our heads and we don't necessarily see it through the eyes of somebody landing there.
Yeah,
Say, it needs to be really simple. So if I go to a website, we'll go back to our electrician. If I've got need somebody to come and look at the plug socket in my kitchen, I go to a website, here's an electrician, it's definitely an electrician, it says that. I phone up, I say, oh, can you come round? We only do commercial work.
yeah,
Now that's wasted my time, it's wasted their time.
yeah,
They've probably not even thought about it because they know they only do commercial work. So
yeah,
it's that sort of stepping back or even asking somebody, you know, one of your colleagues from networking or something, can you go to my website and tell me what you think I do when you land on there?
yeah.
What's your first impression? Am I making it clear what I do, what I offer, and who I work with?
100%. I mean, we talk about this a lot within, Ask Zoe, as you know, Lucy, about, if what you do isn't being fed back to you really simply, does your audience really understand? And it's about keeping it simple and making sure that transpires on all your digital
Yeah.
assets and all your marketing assets, because ultimately, if it's creating confusion, it's not really working for you, it's working against you. And I do agree with what you said there very, briefly, but it's really important to come back to it about putting yourself in the customer's shoes, because
Yes.
that's one way you can really ensure your website is working for you, by doing what Lucy has just recommended in terms of asking somebody to visit your website and ask them some really basic questions. What do I do? Who do I help? How do they contact me, and where do they go further information? But also as well, that navigation, I know you agree with this as well, Lucy, and I'd love you to explain a little bit more about that navigation side on a website, because I think that leads into lead generation and people being able to get to where they need to get to what they've come on to the website for. Because one of our other experts within the funnel website field has always shared with me that, if someone's coming onto your website, they're not really coming on to browse, they're coming on for a particular reason, hence, the example with the electrician. So would you agree that's another thing for our audience to think about in terms of navigation and, what your audience are coming onto the website for?
Yes, I think, yeah, you want to think about the journey they're going to go through from when they arrive. So they arrive probably with some sort of problem in their head that they're trying to solve. Your homepage is going to tell them, is it possible that this person can help me? Am I maybe in the right place?
Yeah,
If they are, I mean, if you look at a standard website navigation, the simplest one you'll usually see home, about, services, something like testimonials or a portfolio, and then contact. And that's because that's the kind of journey your customers are probably going to go through. They're going to land, they're going to say, is this possibly the right thing for me? I
yeah,
need to know a bit more about this company. I need to see if I gel with them, if they sound like people I want to work with, if they
yeah,
sounds like I'm the right customer for them. Yeah,
yeah,
I think they sound nice. What exactly are their services? Where does what I want fit into what they're offering? Oh,
yeah,
I've seen this. I think that could be right for me. I'll just need a little bit of reassurance. So you go next to your testimonials or your portfolio, you can have a look at the work they've done, what people are saying about them. Yeah, great, contact. And ideally, you want somebody to arrive and go through that journey. And if you're not right for them, leave because, you know, there's no point. You don't want to look like you can serve everyone because then you spend your whole life handling phone calls where you have to say, oh no, sorry, that's not what I do.
100%. And I think that's probably evident with the example that I shared about the lady inquiring
Yes.
and the feedback that she gave me at the end. And again, I fed this back. She didn't just need my support, she needed my support and another consultant on a finance level because of the business finance part. And we're very much advocate in our tone of voice, within our branding, within our website, that we are a we because we have the right suppliers that sit underneath the ASOE brand. And it was nice to see that that transpired with her experience as well. And again, it was about keeping it simple, ensuring, as Lucy has said, we've got the homepage, it sets the tone. We've got the about page if people want to know a little bit more about us and what it's like to work with us. We've got the case studies, we've got the resources, we've got the services, and we've got the contact. So it really takes that customer on its journey and keep things simple and making sure it navigates correctly. Because do you agree with this, Lucy, in terms of, again, another stat I've heard is if your customer has to click more than three places to get to the destination that they need to make an inquiry on a lead generative point of view or to find out more, they will click off and look somewhere else. What's your experience in that in terms of an expert?
Yes, definitely. I mean, we're so impatient nowadays, I think. I,
Yeah,
I see it in myself. I go to look at something online, if it doesn't load instantly, or if it's not really quite the right information. And like you say, you maybe click through once, and then if it's still not the right information, you just think, oh, I've had enough now. I'll just go somewhere where I can get that information instantly because we're all so used to being able to get whatever we want online
yeah,
just at our fingertips. And people don't have any patience for, if some websites, I think there's, people get a bit caught up in the style and their own sort of, you see it quite a lot with sort of high-end restaurant websites. They're very beautiful. And I'm just thinking, I just want to book a table. You
yeah, yeah,
The important thing is I land on it. I want to know what sort of food do you do? When are you open? How do I book? And I
yeah.
don't want to watch a slideshow of beautiful images before I'm allowed to do that.
Yeah. It's about that navigation, isn't it? And making sure the website works for you, but works for you in terms of the customer. And it just makes me smile. And I know I kind of giggled there because I've literally, really randomly, had the same conversation to a beauty therapist in our local area, because I don't go anywhere else for a massage, because they're the one place where I can go, pay the price that I'm happy with, have the treatment that I'm happy with, and the result is what I need. I need the knots taken out of my back. They don't tickle. They give they do the right assessment, they do the right pressure points, they give me advice to help me navigate it when I leave. But they've gone online and they've gone with a booking system. And for 18 months, I've not known how to make a booking on that website because it's not simple.
Yeah,
To book is literally the smallest tab on their website, and you feel like when you go onto the booking of the website, you're on the wrong page. So I automatically ring and book, and I book in my repeat appointments when I'm there. And I just gave them that feedback, and they said, well, actually, we've had that feedback quite on a regular occurrence, and we're now changing it so the website works for us rather than against us, and
yeah,
is efficient and does what it's meant to do, which is improve the customer experience. And I think as well, it's about looking at that navigation and, looking at, that lead generative point of view, and making sure that even on the homepage, if they really know they want to work with you and that statement captures them when they get onto that homepage, there is an option for them to book a call straight away
yeah,
rather than scroll to the contact page, because as rightly you've said, Lucy, we've become more impatient as consumers as technology has developed. And I think it's really about, looking at that in terms of your website and maybe thinking a more Gen Z or Gen Z, whatever it is now, because I read a stat like a couple of years ago, and they said by 2025, 97% of buyers' decisions will happen online first, and that's because of the Gen Z generation. And even though your customer may not be Gen Z, I think it's really important to think about what that means in terms of a customer experience and getting the website to work for you rather than against you, and making sure, like you said, if your customer wants to come on to book a table, ensure they can book that table.
yeah.
So, what do you believe a website needs to have to benefit these areas that we've mentioned? Are there some basics that you can share that a business owner should consider when ensuring the website works for them and their customers? What can you share on that basis um, for our listeners?
I think there's a few sort of main ingredients that your homepage wants to have. And it's not dissimilar to that journey that we talked about with the navigation. So
Yeah,
when you arrive at the homepage, the top of it, the very first thing you want to see is who is this business or person and what do they do?
yeah.
It's, I should have know without having to scroll down if I'm in roughly the right place for what I want. I'll want to check some details, but should
Hmm.
I click away now or is it worth me looking further? And
Yeah.
it should be on screen without scrolling. As you scroll down, then you want to have a little bit more information so people can get to know a little bit more about what you do and who you work with. We want some information there that will increase people's trust in you as a business. So if you've worked with certain companies, you might have their logos on, particularly if they're, big names that people will recognize. You might have a testimonial on there. You might have a link through to your Google reviews on there. If you've appeared in any media or won any awards, you want those on there. Um, You want to have your contact details really clearly on every page. They can just be in the footer. But if you go to a website, quite often people will have already made the decision. They've visited your website already. They've taken a bit of time to think about it. They just want to come back and book. Whichever page they go to, they should be able to find, how do I get in touch to take the next steps?
Yeah, I agree. And there's two things that I want the listeners to maybe consider when looking at the website and looking at the basics that Lucy has shared. is looking at the speed of your website, because
Yes.
we've learned from that ourselves when we was looking at the funnel inside and advancing our website. It was quick, but it could have been quicker. And as the user experience are getting more impatient, that's
Yep.
important to look. So do check the speed of this website, in the considerations that Lucy has shared. And also, I 100% agree in terms of the navigation, because it's really about, the customer experience. They tend to stay in the top part of the page, and you really got to tell them who you are, what you do, and how you can help them, because that's where they kind of stay, even with a scroll. And also thinking about that navigation from desktop to mobile as well, because a lot of people will search on their device first and search on the laptop secondary, if they
Yes.
maybe want to find out more, or they may book a call straight away. So I think it's really important with them points you've mentioned, Lucy's, to think about that navigation and where your customers tend to sit the majority of the time, and thinking about that, speed element too. So, as we kind of come to the end of the podcast, is there one top tip you can share to our listeners that if they haven't done this yet, they must do it when looking at the website to ensure it's working for them and for their customers?
I think it's really hard to boil it down to one. So it's everything we've already said, but one thing, oh, I'm having a blank.
That's fine. I think for me, the one thing that resonates without is to get that feedback from your potential customer, which you've mentioned, or a business associate, and really ask them, what do you think my website says? And do you really think my website says what it does on the tin? And get that
Yes.
feedback, because that doesn't cost anything, guys, does it?
Yeah.
It
And
really doesn't.
the one thing I was thinking then that I wanted to say was do look at your website as well and make sure it's supporting your goals and what you want to do as a business. Because sometimes I think people build a website, they quite often build it at the beginning of their business, and 2 years down the line, their goals might have shifted. So maybe when you started off, you offered a 1 hour one-to-one consultation and you also offered an ongoing monthly retainer.
Yeah,
You don't want to do the 1 hours anymore. Make
yeah.
sure that's reflected on your website because I find this that people they'll have a particular service that they really want to, it's their primary service they want to offer, but you go to their homepage and there's three different services and they're all of equal
Hmm.
importance. So it's just trying to
Yeah.
make sure that look at your website and think, is that really, you know, pushing the things that I want to offer?
Yeah, 100%. And I think that does align, doesn't it? So, kind of in summary, what we're saying is, take everything that we've shared on board here today in episode 32, but get that feedback. It doesn't cost you anything other than your time.
Yeah,
And, people are willing to help you 100%. I mean, it's how we survived the pandemic, by saying, how can I help you? And in turn, they returned that favor. So do ask for that feedback. Do make sure, like Lucy has just shared there, it aligns with your goals. And above anything, I think what's apparent here is your website isn't something that you just work on once. It's about making sure it is maintained, the
yeah,
speed is correct, it navigates correctly, it's working for you rather than against you. It is, mobile savvy, it is desktop illiterate, it works for the fuller picture, and ultimately it aligns with them goals. It allows people to make inquiries, and it allows people to find out more or to get resources, and you capture their information to build on that customer journey from a free offering to a paid option. It's about, making sure really it does work for you and generates you them goals that Lucy's kindly shared. Anything further you'd like to add, Lucy, with our listeners before they find out how they can find out more about Websites by Lucy?
no, I was just thinking this morning though, because I was thinking mainly about home pages because they're so important. It's where a lot of your visitors will land the first time they visit. And I was thinking they're a little bit like a film trailer. So,
Hmm.
if you've got a sort of really fast action war film on your trailer, you're going to pick out bits of action to show. You're not going to show the bits where you're building character in between. It's
Yeah,
about making sure your homepage kind of represents what your business is about,
yeah,
not all the little bits in between. I don't know if that
100%.
makes sense, but I just thought, yeah, homepage is like a trailer. You want to capture people's attention. You want them to know, is this for me? You want to
Yeah,
sort of tantalize them so they want to find out more and
yeah,
get them excited and sort of motivate them to get in touch and use your
yeah.
services.
100%. I mean, somebody said this to me a couple of weeks ago about marketing. Marketing's like dating. You wouldn't go all in on the first date. Some people would, but you're probably going to detract rather than attract by doing that way. It's about creating excitement. It's about building, attention. It's about creating that need to find out more, and 100% by showcasing your best bits,
Yeah,
by
yeah,
ensuring that the website truly represents your tone of voice, the brand, who you help, how you help them, and the results, like you've said about that, social proof and that testimony side, to making sure that they, understand who they're going to be working with. And ultimately, if you're hitting the nail on the head with what we're sharing here today in episode 32, I can guarantee you that your website should be working more for you rather than against you, because it is such an important asset to have. So thank you, Lucy, for joining us. We really appreciate you sharing your expertise. Lucy did join us around 18 months ago with our webinar series, so it's really nice to invite her back and just touch upon this topic again and get more depth into how the website can work for you rather than against you and help you with your goals and generate leads for your business. So if anyone is listening to this, Lucy, and thinking, I need a WordPress website expert and they wish to find out more, where can they come and find out more? We're obviously happy to introduce anyone that wants to drop us a DM that may want that personal introduction. But if they want to come and check you out on your website, how do they do that?
they can find me at websitesbylucy.co.uk. On there, you can find out a bit more about my services, a bit more about me, including what I do when I'm not doing websites, and also how to contact me. There's my email address, a contact form, a telephone number, and you can also find me on LinkedIn. That's probably the social platform that I use most.
Definitely. So do go and connect with Lucy on LinkedIn if you wish to find out more, or do go and check out her website and book in a call if you'd like to discuss your website in a little bit more detail. We really hope you've enjoyed episode 32 of the Hub podcast. We will be back next month and we look forward to speaking to you then. Thanks again, Lucy, and take care.
Thank you. Goodbye.